to deal with stuff in the public realm. So you can appoint anyone as a fiduciary, and I act as fiduciary or agents for people sometimes when I'm doing things for them, and it just sort of allows them to step outside, because you can't really represent your own straw man as such. It's very hard to do that, because I believe that the agent and the principal cannot be the same. That creates a conflict of interest or something along those lines. So it's always good to appoint a fiduciary over the straw man, so you actually create another level of separation between this fictitious legal entity and yourself as the principal creditor.
And I'm guessing the more you separate yourself, the better you are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that question, Eric.
Other countries tuning in.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah, Canada's also one of the. I mean, Mary Elizabeth Croft is from Canada. Certainly, they've been one of the leaders, I guess, in the forefront of this movement for a long time now. And I've got a lot of information earlier on from people out of Canada.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's a lot of people asking about in the chat about Robert Menard. Is he from Australia, or is he?
No. Rob is in Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because Canada's got very similar laws to us. Am I right in saying that?
It is, yeah. It's another Commonwealth country.
Unmute
Hello.
you. Leah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you going?
Can you hear me? I'm
Yep.
well, thank you. We have a question. We're in a partnership, and I'm just wondering how that affects us in separating ourselves from our strawman, and if Thomas could perhaps explain a little bit more about making your vehicle a private vehicle and how that affects you with third-party insurance and just general insurance on your vehicle and things like that.
Okay, they're all interesting terms. If you break it down a little bit, you'll see that you were using the word ship again. It comes back to citizenship. It's all Admiralty jurisdiction, which is everything that's beyond the boundaries of England. Okay, so once you go across the sea, you actually go into this maritime Admiralty jurisdiction. So everything kind of has this ship on the end of it, So I would sort of firstly say, well, any vehicle is a commercial activity, of course, and if you've got licenses, okay, then you've enjoined with your straw man. So you've got problems there to start with, because it's very hard to separate those things. Once you've already got them, you've got to go back and correct those documents and become the principal creditor in those situations. So I believe that it's still, even though I don't have a commercial vehicle, I only have a private automobile, and I journey on the common ways of the land rather than driving. It is possible for people to, I think, still be in their power and use these instruments of the straw man. So I think it's probably quite possible for you to get new licenses and make sure that you're signing as the principal creditor for the fiction. And then, obviously all of your insurance and everything like that would be in the straw man name, and you would have to be signing as the agent or the principal for that, because what you're actually doing is insuring the straw man and not yourself. You're insuring the straw man's vehicle, for example, because you're carrying around other straw men, and that's what the whole problem is with all of this situation, is that because we're not all free, the assumption is that we're all slaves. Okay, so if there's a few free people roaming around, the police will automatically assume that they are slaves and that they are part of the policy and that they are there to be policed. Okay, so that is the problem there. It's all about assumption, and it's about correcting the presumption. So I think it's probably in your situation where you said you've got a partnership, and you're on board of that vessel, okay, and you're journeying down the highway, which is essentially the shipping lanes, okay, going from one port to another port, and being governed by the Department of Transport. So I think it's probably important that you just correct the documents. So I think that you could probably get away with that.
So just to clarify, could it be sort of like we are the agent for our strawman, and then our strawman is the two people who are in our partnership? Is that kind of what you're saying, or?
Yeah, well, the only persons that are in the partnership are the two strawmen, because they're the two commercial they're the agents in commerce, right? And so it's best actually if you're the principal creditor and not the agent, because your strawman is the agent really, because the strawman is your agent in commerce. So it's the way that you generate your income. It's the way that you use their fictitious fiat money. You see, because the strawman isn't using real money. It's out there dealing in ones and zeros on computers and pieces of paper.
Does that answer your question, Leah?
Yeah, thank you.
It's okay. Listen, on a basic level, Leah, because it is hard to sort of comprehend all this stuff from a beginning stage. I think all I'm really sort of suggesting to you is, if you wanted to start to learn this stuff, is that we really have to address the documents and the agreements that we already have with the fiction. And so if it's a license, or if it's a credit card or whatever, all I'm suggesting that you do is perhaps get a replacement one. Pretend that you've lost it or cut it up, and then go and get a new one. But this time you make sure that you sign as the principal creditor for the strawman, and make sure that you write the words "all rights reserved" underneath of your autograph. And in that way, you're actually starting to take control of the documentation and the agreements, instead of being enjoined with the strawman and actually being the surety. Now, who out there, I mean, everyone knows about the case of, who's the girl that went to jail in Bali? I've forgotten her name.
Sorry?
Chappelle Corby.
Oh, yeah, Chappelle, yeah.
Okay, Chappelle Corby. Now, look, I contacted her friends and parents when I heard about that, because Chappelle Corby could have come home, but she didn't, because she enjoined, she argued, she created controversy, she basically dug her own hole, and what happened was that she enjoined with her straw man, so she became Chappelle Corby, the fictitious entity, okay, and because the fictitious entity, the debtor, was enjoined with the actual flesh and blood being, she's now the surety for the debt. And so she's actually sitting in a warehouse, what the equivalent of a warehouse, overseas in prison. But she's actually, all she's doing is she's actually sitting there until the bond matures, because every charge and every court case, there's a bond. And the bond is the money that they trade with on the stock exchange and make their money from. And anyone who's got a bond or a debenture or any sort of investment will know that there's a maturity date. And when that bond matures, it's released. Okay, and so she's sitting there until her bond is released. And so whether that's 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, that's how long that they're trading that bond for and making money out of her straw man on the stock exchange. It's all about money, and it's nothing to do with law. I don't know if she did the right thing or not. I don't care. All I'm saying is that the straw man is the debtor, and it's all about commerce. But if you can actually find the CUSIP number, and people probably have never heard of a CUSIP number, but it's a number that gets assigned to bonds and to stock. Okay, it's the number that they trade with. It's how the value is tracked. So if you can actually find the CUSIP number for Chappelle Corby, you could actually issue a bond which would actually cover that. And she could be released.
That'd be an interesting case to look at and try and solve.
Yeah. I just thought I'd mention that because it's an example of how the enjoyment with the straw man can have very far-reaching effects, and can even if you'd done nothing wrong. Let's say, for example, that Chappelle was purely innocent, and I don't know whether she is or she isn't. But let's say with the straw man can have very far-reaching effects, and can even if you'd done nothing wrong. Let's say, for example, that Chappelle was purely innocent, and I don't know whether she is or she isn't. But let's say, for example, that she is innocent, and yet she's still sitting in jail wrongly. Now, in that case, it would be a fantastic way to be able to get somebody who's done nothing wrong out of this what is essentially a warehouse for bonds.
Just thinking about that just blows my mind. Just thinking that someone is in jail right now, and there's people who are trading those bonds on